So, hello everyone, and welcome to this part of the Thriving Families Africa Summit. Today, we are talking about a space that can be a source of headache for many parents because when it comes to parenting young adults, where do we draw the line? Where do we release? Where do we control? It can be a very confusing space, and because their need for independence is very rife at that stage. So, our guest Mr. Tom Kimani is a coach with Strathmore University's Program for Family Development, and he works closely with parents and their children, and of course, young adults because they're in college. And I know that your work is rooted in relationships, in being a calm leader, and just practical skills and habits that can help families guide without controlling. And that's the conversation today, guiding without controlling, helping young adults find their way. So karibu sana, Mr. Kimani.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carol. Can I call you Carol or Dr.
Sure.
Carol?
Carol is
What's okay?
fine. Carol is
Yes.
perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just start with you telling us more about the work that you do, how you got into it, just to shed light so that people can get an understanding of that.
No, thank you very much. I work for an institution called the Program for Family Development.
Mhm.
Um, it has an understanding through a memorandum of understanding with Strathmore University, specifically Strathmore University Business School.
Okay.
Now, the Program for Family Development is a program that runs its own programs, but also primarily courses that are delivered through the design, through a case study method design
Mhm.
from the International Federation for Family Development. So
Okay.
essentially, the big philosophy of IFFD, which is for which PFD is one of the affiliate national organizations, the philosophy is happy families. Let's make for happy families. And when you're talking about families, you're describing a family from the toddler, from the newborn, all the way to the 90-plus-year-old grandparent.
Mhm.
So we operate from the perspective of every person, every human being has dignity. So very, very much a dignitarian perspective, and a person who's worth being who they are. And hence, in our philosophy, we try to inculcate training through stimulation. Trying to stimulate all the people you do at whatever level, including that newborn. How do you stimulate that newborn to pick up some of the habits that are essential for its growth, all the way to how do you help the grandparent who is now very much a needed resource. We are coming to understand that.
Mhm.
Help the children to parent. So essentially, that's what we do. So specifically to this you mentioned, we also work with young adults.
Mhm.
The thing about young adults came about 10 years ago from the need to help people find their way, to navigate their way in what is objectively, and at least from research and from all the work we've done, is somewhat a confusing world and a confused world. And I'm sure we'll speak to some of the issues they bring themselves and
Mhm.
also their parents bring. So we try and listen to them and also help the parents engage so that we have a good quality, you could say, relationships with the young adults, full of freedom, but at the same time, full of understanding they're human beings, independent agents
Mhm.
who are supposed to carry on, the generations to generations, into posterity.
Mhm.
More or less, that's what we do.
What you
Mhm.
do. Yeah, I like two things. I mean, I like everything about what you've said, but what two things stand out? Number one is preserving the dignity of the human. That's very, very fundamental. And happy families, happiness can be achieved. Sometimes we look at happiness as shallow, but there is so much that goes into that term happy. And when we
Yes.
unpack it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that is flowing into your space. So in this conversation, we are focusing on young adults. I think a lot of the conversations we've had in this summit haven't really, narrowed down to young adults. And I'm so excited that you're here because you interact with them at the university, you interact with their parents. And I know that there are patterns that you probably have seen among young adults and their parents today.
Mm.
Can you speak a little bit into that?
Yes, there are patterns, and some of them, unfortunately, come with some sad stories. Unfortunately, just like this is common not only to our university but to many universities across the country and
Right.
also across the world, really,
Mm.
where you are finding young people, inflicting self-harm to to the extent of taking their own lives.
Mm.
And also, that's a trend that we have been warned about. And
Mm.
some of the things we've seen, and as a mentor, because I'm also one of the mentors in the university, is a situation where you hear, and again, these are common things. These are not limited to the university. This is general trend
Mm.
from some of the people who help them, in the help field, specifically in clinical psychology, where someone comes and tells you, listen, we need to help your sons, say, or your mentees. So you ask how. You need to help them because they are under serious pressure. They're confused, and we're getting more and more and more of them looking for mental health interventions, mental health help.
Mm.
And so, yeah, specifically, what do you want us to think? This was a female. She was the head of clinical psychology. And she says, now listen, okay, some of them, some gruesome stories, of some of the things they have to do to belong. That includes questions like someone coming and being told, listen, I'm being asked to have many girlfriends. Right. And I'm also being asked to have boyfriends. And then what's obviously we recoil, and they says, yes, your sons and all. So it is happening out there. That's what we had. It's not common just to our place, but those are some of the stories they have been exposed to. So yes, exactly what is the fundamental issue? And she says, behind all that, you can take something like you can pin and you can thread a needle or a series of needles with one issue. That is what's happening back home. Back home. And I can tell you, Carol, I am also a witness to one of those, a similar incident where one of my sons, who's a thespian, basically an actor, and we had this big series of concerts. As you can imagine, they go on beyond 11 p.m. on Sundays, Saturdays. So here we are harassing the guy. Hey, come on, guys. First of all, he's forced all of us to go for the concert, every single one of us, because, as a thespian, they're raising funds. So
Yeah.
you're there. So we are pushing him. Look, man, what time is this? You need to go. So he comes, and in a very somber tone, he's normally a very, very bubbly fellow. He tells me, one of the reasons why I stayed back is that one of our colleagues, one of the cast, a fellow castmate, a lady, looked at me and told me, how fortunate you are. How fortunate you are that someone is harassing you to get into the car to go home. Home. And that home, that car is full of people whom you can call yours, your dad, your mom, your brothers, your siblings. So I asked this guy of mine, I asked Jerome, so what are you trying to say? He said that colleague said that they are well off. She doesn't know where she's going to go tonight, whether it's her dad's place or whether it's her mom's place, because they don't stay together. So the point I'm trying to say is that a lot of these things have to come from where the bigger issue from home.
Yeah.
And that also kind of works into some of the issues we are dealing with parents. But I don't know, if you want to prompt me, you can. I don't know. Yeah,
Just
if
go ahead.
that's okay.
Just flow organically.
Okay. Yeah, it's true, because now when you have parents coming on their own, on their part. On their part, they talk of other things. But maybe let me just close up some of the issues that some of these people, young adults, talk about.
Right.
They talk about mental health, and actually, those two cases do prove that. We are not safe. We don't feel okay. We're not okay mentally, and why? We are afraid. We are afraid because we do not have anything to hold on to. Why? Because they don't seem to have a beacon of hope. They don't seem to have models which they can clutch onto and maybe work for various reasons. Because maybe they're fighting with their parents, or their parents are fighting with themselves, or whatever it is. And also, the other thing they talk about is the current environment. The current world is moving so fast. And, the thought of the future is actually frightening. In fact, I was just talking to some of my younger colleagues before I came on set. And they were telling me, so, young ones, they just finished campus, and literally in this age, they say, what really scares you? They say, one, financial independence. But you have a job. No, the thought that they may not have enough to live on in future. Then there's also, so that idea of not having financial independence is rather big, at least on our side of the north-south divide. Although I'll also tell you that there's a study in 2024 that was done that revealed that even places like Norway, where they have financial independence, they're still suffering from some of those societal, particularly relationship issues. So those are some of the things. So dating and relationships go wrong because they're trying to get the perfect relationship. So they themselves don't feel safe. And especially for menfolk. For menfolk, men feel that they are not adequate. And I've also asked young ladies, and they said, yes, it's true. It's very hard to find a person who matches, whom I can confide to. Because let's face it, and this again is from our parenting courses from young to old. In fact, someone once said, an 11-year-old girl, in terms of maturity, is almost almost equivalent to an 18-year-old boy. I mean, the girls figure things out pretty quickly. So here you are, you're finding a young man. The young men of nowadays have not yet figured things out. They are scared, and they're not even matching up to the girls. And so the girls who also are getting the jobs because they're interviewing better. And this again is empirical. I can tell you that from various employers. The girls are doing a much better job. But while after they do that, they realize they don't have mates. And if they have mates, they're not like at par, and hence the relationship is not based on equality or even equity. So there's a lot of factors. So if I can talk about parents, if what I can talk about parents, a lot of things they are afraid about include how to balance freedom and choice. A lot of these parents, and here I can talk about some of even the more well-to-do parents, they want to give their children freedom. They want to give their children freedom. They want to give them their children a car to drive, a good place, and a good amount of money to go by. But they're afraid. They don't yet know when to release or where to control, and so they are scared, and rightly so, because in most cases that freedom tends to get abused. It does tend to get abused. You find kids are not showing up in class. People are not doing the what they're supposed to be doing. And in fact, the other thing is that the parents, because they've been told by their adult children that I am an adult, so they back off. And by the way, Carol, there's this thing about this this number called 18. This number age, it's number 18. I have adults myself who have been also university going age. And I can tell you one of the things that scare parents is for this child who's always been at home to come and tell you, listen, I am going for my classmate's 18th birthday party. And I'm not coming back tonight.
My goodness.
I myself am 18 and so on and so forth. So they get scared. On one hand, yes, this is an adult. But on the other hand, wow, what do I do about this? They are 18. And you can't chase them away like they do in the US. But again, in the US, opportunities abound.
Right. They start working when they are 16. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing, of course, is, again, that tends to come back again, handling freedom for my young adults without limiting them too much. How much money should I give them? How much things to do with friendships and relationships that they get into. It is an open secret that a lot of our youth from across, and here I'm not talking about the university, they are undertaking some activities that are not too wholesome, like smoking weed, over drinking alcohol and substances, and even things like vaping or whatever it is that they are doing. And they themselves, again, some of the young adults I was talking to before while preparing this, they say, we love and we need to belong. We need to belong somewhere. And in fact, that tells you about, again, a certain, my young adults, people I deal with, who tells me, when I'm at home, I'm perfect. But when I go out, when I get into my bogey, as they call it, anything they say, I do. If they say, let's do weed, I do. If they say, let's do whatever, I do. I don't have control myself. But when I'm at home, I'm from a good family, and sort of. So the other thing, of course, they're struggling with is how to communicate to this young person, what language to use without fighting and without burning bridges, without, they're really scared. They're walking on bricks, on burning bricks.
Yeah.
The freedom, but in all these things, the word freedom seems to be one of the mostly used words. If you can do a word cloud, freedom and choice and what you'd have to do. So how to balance without micromanaging, how to give these people tasks that they can do without feeling that they are being seen as little children. how to guide choices, and simply how to just understand these people because they have their own preferences, which are clear. And I think these are generational, which you can't do much. The language of the Gen Z, the language of, I mean, there's not much you can do about that, but you find some people are still stuck up to to their old ways of maybe communicating or engaging people who are now questioning, people who are now used to standing up, and people who are used to being, what can I call it? They have this sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
So you find yourself being totally confused. So those are just among the things that are there. But generally, anxiety. Yeah, it's an anxious moment. Yep.
And it's both on the side of the parents and the side of the adults. You're
Yes,
seeing anxiety on both ends.
that's true.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think one of the reasons, not I think, one of the reasons that we are doing this summit is to normalize these conversations, because a lot of parents experience this and they feel like they're the only ones going through it. But just knowing that this is what is going on, not to excuse it, not to just sit and accept it, but to really just rally ourselves and see ourselves from a space of community. And I know that you do programs for parents, you do programs for young adults through your mentorship. What are some of the things that you are doing to support them, to support parents to move forward with confidence, with calm, to just navigate this whole space?
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Because what you observe is that the minute you play with words, it's about how you frame the conversation. Initially, you would speak to parents and tell them, okay, fine, you're a parent of this place. We normally have parents called to the university. This is normal. Maybe other universities don't, but we call them because we have progress meetings with them, or when we speak about various things, various issues that follow the developmental stages of the students. So we have, for instance, once they come in first year, we have to tell them, we call the parents and have a meeting, and we have a guest speaker or a key speaker that speaks to the issues that are really around that time. And normally, the main issues they are about settling. The other issues normally are about that famous 18-year-old birthday thing. And then the
It's
other
a
thing is,
thing, yeah?
yes, it's a thing.
Uh-huh.
Because once you mention it, you find eyes brightening up, to a group of persons. Even it's not only me, this is what they do.
Wow.
And then as they go through the earlier years, now the 18 into 19, first of all, they have a bit of a disaster there because they are trying to work out. They've had things like, there's a timetable. Oh gosh, I thought since we left in high school, in boarding high school, you have to follow a timetable. You have to try and get some work on. Then what happens is that as they go to second year, the reality hits them and they start realizing, okay, fine, we are here to do some work. We have a bit of catch up to do. And so the thing that really starts here is that relationships, and especially for young ladies, there's lots of hearts broken and things like that. So we try to let the parents know, hey, this is normal, but be there for this girl. But please, one thing we always try to tell them is that, mothers, those things you're told, the thank me later things, repeat them, say it again, again, and again. Okay, find a better language. Find a more simple way to express. But the message,
A message.
the
Us
message,
moms are known for 2-hour lectures.
yes. Maybe you can turn them into 5 minutes, very choice, nice words,
Yeah.
using the I message, using the appropriate way. But I think that message from our experience, in fact, that's one of my latest, I would say, mantra. Mummies, do not relent. Just be nicer, just use the proper, be nicer words, but don't feel afraid to repeat and repeat and repeat again. So the young ladies, normally we try and try to tell the parents, don't, just stick with that girl. And, that time they normally want to be independent. Although it's a university with access to a lot of people in the city, like many universities do, a lot of them wants to go into hostels. So you can see the hostels business is really booming. But it's just to explore, and sometimes to some disaster. That is great, but what we really would do hope is that whatever programs they are doing, or whatever way you're dealing with these young adults, is that you keep them busy, you get them something enough to do, so that they are so busy they don't have time for mischief. Anyhow, so by third year they are awake, they are thinking of what next. They have things to do with career because they are going for their internships and things like that. Normally they start to settle down, and by fourth year they go off. Now, So we try and tailor the message to the parents according to those needs and the psychological space. One of the things we like to tell them is that these people are not yet fully developed mentally. The frontal cortex is not there. So it's okay to let the person know that I trust you as a person, but sometimes I don't trust your instincts. And you can give them examples. When you're driving a car, I know you're even more adept at driving a car than me. You can swing it around and stuff like that. But what tends not to happen is that you may not think that the other person, the other third driver, he may be asleep or whatever it is. In other words, have that second sense, the sense of prudence, danger, that it's not, I am capable, but it's not all about me. So to try and bring that to them is normally one of the things we try to tell parents. And various other things. The whole thing about trying to help them navigate, and especially as they're going towards the end of the end of their university, the key message then starts being, what chores has this person been doing? Has this person been able to do they know about the house budget? Do they know what costs how much? Do they know how to run their own budgets? Because by then we do encourage the people to actually give these kids money. And we try and give people the whole idea of helping them to reflect. A lot of what we try to do is now to let the people reflect a lot more. Be more reflective and explore, but reflect. By all means, have friends, but reflect. Keep reflecting a lot. Yeah, that's more or less some of the things we do. So I was telling you that besides these official parents meetings that are organized per school, per course, we also have an issue of we now developed this open idea where we just want to have a conversation with the parents. Initially, there were very few. But as some come and there's, tell a friend tells a friend that, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. So this has kind of exploded into a situation where parents want to speak with, and be spoken to. Now, the solutions are within the parents themselves. When they talk, the kind of nuggets you pick wholesomely, you come out with something that really helps you.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's like human nature. You may know what to do.
Yeah.
You may be struggling on that particular point, but someone else just finds that's what they are looking for, and they have the avenue to implement that. So there's so much, just getting people to talk does help a lot. And of course, I don't want to get into that because that's not the subject matter of today's, but I've also realized that even when we come and deal with couples, in fact, it's related, and I'll make that point.
Yeah.
I'll make that linkage. One of the most healing way of, let me call it therapy or learning of discovery of basically getting your aha moment, your epiphanies, is when you are in a free space, a couple of people who basically have broken eyes are in a group, couples, and you start what I call friendly fire. Friendly fire. You hear someone say, some people, they don't even remember to call home, blah, 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 blah. They don't even they only think about themselves when, blah, blah, blah. And someone else, of course, when they say some people and their spouse is there, of course, the condition is that you need to be safe. You need to have that space so that, people know you guys are trying stuff. But when that other person says, those other people, and then someone else picks it up, let me tell you, the amount of self-discovery is immense, and the amount of learning is amazing. That helps people gel. Now, let's take it back to some of the bigger messages we give to the parents when we are trying to help them deal with their adults. So they've talked about, we have tips for them, no doubt. But the biggest tip, and I'll speak to some of those tips, but the biggest tip is you guys relate well, and that's it. That's all we need for now. We need a model. We need to see a model couple, things happening. The fights, the making ups, and the whatever it is, but you need to see a living model that can provide some form of beacon, some form of star, even if it's not a North Star, but at least something you can see. This is how to do things. This is not maybe how not to do, but at least something. the harmony is extremely important. Yeah, I've said many things, so
Which have made a lot
that
of
is
sense.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and just bring it back to, I mean, one of the things that again is coming out very clearly in this summit is that we have the solution. So when you say parents come in and they are trading off solutions, that we are not, you and I as coaches, as people in this field, we are not the experts. It's really
Mhm.
about helping people to tease out what is already within them, and through community. I don't think there is anything more powerful than community. That's why you see more people coming into those conversations, because that
Mhm.
sense of community is helping them really feel, accepted, and they feel like they fit in. I also remember, just think about what you said earlier, that one of the key things here is these young people are looking for a place to belong, you know.
Yes.
And I said,
Mhm.
you said you have many other tools and strategies. So just give us the spiel. What other things are you doing with parents and also with young adults?
Yeah, let me just say that one of the things we do is we learn a lot, and some of our courses, for each, you could say, module, or for each, say, theme,
Mm,
there is some work, academic work, real deep research that
okay.
has gone through. So you normally have what you could call, they call them, in academia, maybe a technical note, or yeah, more or less something, a technical piece, a paper, more or less, written on some of that particular area. So we do have a lot of those for various items. For instance, if the topic has to do with sexuality, so more or less, the keynote, or that technical note, will have something to do with, revolving around how sexuality is beautiful,
Mm-hmm,
and how sexuality is good for relationships,
mm-hmm,
and how important it is to understand the pathway to proper sexuality,
mm-hmm,
and mostly the pathway to self-sacrifice. We use philosophy, and some of the philosophers that we are using are actually real pagans. We could call pagans. Okay, a lot of what you do is based on, you could say, religious, spiritual things, as Christianity. But again, even the Christian principles, some of them are based on Aristotle, the work of Aristotle, the work of Seneca. Some of those guys we considered, Cicero, people we considered pagans. But they
mm,
have a lot of wisdom. And
mm,
some of the wisdom, especially someone like Aristotle mentions, is this whole thing is that to love is really to wish the good of someone
mm,
for their own sake. I mean, you could have a whole symposium on that,
mm,
to will the good of somebody for their own sake.
mm,
And the other thing is that we try and so that's essentially the tools are what you call, as I said, the personalist view of things, and especially what you call philosophical anthropology, the
mm,
study of the human being as an agent, as a person who has intellect and will. Those are the two main faculties. And
mm,
also to insist that the will looks for the intellect looks for the truth. We all want truth. So to try and help people look for something that is true. And and again, the search for truth is so ingrained in man. So to try and encourage people to say, let's look at what is true.
yeah.
Let's just take a quick step
Mm,
back.
mhm,
When you see, say, your idols, you know, how is it ending up for them? When you see what is happening in K-pop and whatever it is, what exactly is happening? Is that what is true? Is that the true meaning of happiness, of joy, of being, of belonging? Is that what it is? And the other faculty, of course, is what you call the will, because those are the two things that differentiate us human beings from animals. The will, you want to live, and the will is inexorably attracted to what is called the good. Again, what is the good? What is worth living for?
yeah.
What is purpose? This is where now you ask people, what is the purpose? What's worth living? Now, this is where some of the anecdotes come in, where you start seeing what kind of movies do you find best?
Mm,
And a lot of people almost, unanimously say the movies that we find the most beautiful are the ones that you have the hero who suffers a little bit and has a very nice, um, you know, epiphany moment. And, some movies like Tuesdays with Maury, that's one of them, of Asaj, this guy who helped a young protege, one of his students, get sorted back up, and another one called, I think, the gift, something like that. A very nice movie. So people tend to enjoy stories with a message, with something that is good, and good tends to come from something that is worthwhile, purposeful, and free. Then the other item we normally talk is about beauty. So those three you could call faculties: the will, the good, and the beautiful. I mean, the will, the truth, and beauty. The true, the good, and the beautiful. And when we talk about beauty here, we're trying to encourage people to wonder. You have a bit of wonder. So some of the things we tell them is encourage your young adults, if they have, especially if money is not the issue, instead of going clubbing here, why don't they take a trip to Garissa, a road trip to Garissa, or Lamu? Just go and find new people, new things, and wonder, to rediscover the whole issue of wonder, something that is a bit beyond you. And the other thing, of course, beauty has that is also aligned to beauty, is what you call the universal languages. Universal languages, things like sport, encourage people to have a sporting spirit, encourage people to play sports, encourage people to love, just that whole engagement. I mean, like, football by and large is a universal language. And the other thing really is humor.
Yeah.
Humor, laughter is a universal language. And for you just to prove that, remember that I don't know about you, but I lived to see the first films used to be shown in school of a certain chap called Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
Now, Charlie Chaplin never spoke, and neither does Mr. Bean.
The Bean, yeah.
But it doesn't matter from which part of the world you come from. But just watching this guy makes you, just leaves you in stitches. So think of some of those universal languages and try and encourage people to wonder and embrace that whole idea of the good. And of course, there are also some tips and tricks. For instance, just encourage people to go visit poor people, poor in whatever way. Because poor does not mean that you're poor because you are you're financially deprived. In fact, I know a story about the US, and that was then. I used to think it is a phantom, but it is. Soon we may come to that. The whole issue of a home, old people's homes. I've started hearing of people being taken to homes, or at least even if they're not taken to homes, parents are being sort of discarded alone and stuff like that. But the point was, this gentleman used to be encouraged with a few young people like him to go visit a home. There's a point he went to somewhere in Manhattan or something like that, and they're told they're going to an old people's home, and not old people's, to visit the poor. So when they went to this place was gold laced, everything was so good, beautiful, nice lawns, TVs, everything, anything material you can find. So he was assigned to a lady, an old lady there. Was told, just go keep her company for the afternoon. She stared at him. He tried to say, can I do something? Stared at him. But so, what was this we're brought to do? I was poor around here. Until he stood to walk. And that woman clutched him with nails, dug there, and almost begged and whispered and shouted all at a go, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I am lonely. So dealing with issues of loneliness. So again, I'm moving on and on, but the idea is to encourage these young people to explore, but reflect a lot. Okay. Something else we can talk about in form of tips is the use of the word freedom. I've told you about the freedom, to try and make freedom for excellence, not freedom from restraint. A lot of young people, and not just young people, all of us, we have this confused notion of freedom, freedom to mean I can do anything I want. In other words, freedom from restraint. And Carol, when you think about a train that, decides that, today I want freedom, so let me just, roll on the road, that train won't get you where you want to go. But that doesn't mean that because it went onto a road, that train is freer. It's just used freedom, freedom of choice, free choice. In other words, it's just chosen. But freedom does not necessarily mean independence. There are always these interdependencies. So you have to have freedom for something, freedom to do, to align your actions to what you value, freedom for something. And now we're talking about purpose more. So you try and mention, it's important to think about having a purpose. And of course, one of my friends, one of the people I really follow a lot who talks about purpose is precisely a gentleman called Vincent Ogutu. I'm sure you know him.
Yep. I do.
And he talks about purpose, and he speaks about it very, very well. And that's the whole thing of, where your passion meets a need. So when you try and speak to these people, you ask a question, do you think there's a need in this world? Yes. And do you have a passion for something? Are there some things? It's not very hard to tease out purpose to tease out some form of passion in young people. But you try and let them, use their freedom to get into that connection, where your true purpose is where your okay, he was quoting somebody else, but he goes on to expand a lot. Where your true passion meets the world's great need. So that's where you have your purpose. So align the kids, the young people to some form of purpose. I have about 2 or 3 more ideas there, but the responsibility and commitment. We have to keep saying this because they fear. Carol, I don't know whether you have heard these things they say in Kenya, the young people. There are 3 things they fear most.
Gen Zs.
Imagine it's real. Yes, the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
You ask and it's real. They fear lack of Wi-Fi or a lack of bundles, running out, not being connected, in short. The second one, I'm not too sure, the hot porridge.
Hot porridge.
That bit, I don't know. But the other one, I'm extremely sure, and I can tell you that's where they put on some brave look, is the thing of commitment, and especially any commitment that will lead to some form of another human being. In other words, really marriage or things like that. They do fear that a lot, and they do fear that because of various reasons, and some of them, as I said, are economic. Some are because as I say, they second guess. I'll tell you a story, Carol. The other day I was in a place, and I met one of my former students. I knew that former student had another, and I knew that because she was a former student who I knew her because I knew the family, and I knew she comes from. She's a good, fine young lady, fine person. And I know that we were friends, like good friends, those ones of with another young man, whom again I know to be an extremely fine young person from a great family and from people whom I mean. So I was kind of thinking, my goodness, this one now. I hope the next time I see, there'll be some good news, good tidings. At least even if they haven't tied the knot, they are moving somewhere. So I meet, and this young lady tells me, no, we split. Well, it didn't go just straight there. It went through several phases. I told, hey, why so and so and so on? We split. All right. Okay, fine. And I had to go to the guy and say, is it yes? Was it your fault? No. The other person, whose fault was it? What I discovered, maybe now, whoever fault, let me not lay blame, but the joint responsibility was there. Because one, the whole thing called second guessing. Second guessing. When I sort of asked for a bit of a timeout, that's how the lady goes. I expected, that to be respected, and indeed it was respected. But I expected this person to work out that I'm in a low place, to reach back up. So in other words, I'm saying I want to be alone, but no, I don't want to be alone. In other words, I want to stop this, but I don't want to stop this. But the man, who he was, a good, faithful young man, took it face value, the way men do.
Yeah. You want to stay in your space.
Stay away.
Yeah.
Stay away. Stay away. And it was regrettable because, that's when the thing of he should know. And the fact that the other guy is she should know. Nothing second guessing. So again, I got into a conversation very soon after in another forum with another young couple I found just playing a game of golf, and just quickly gelled and became good friends. And he started, because this is a question that bothers me, young people, what's happening? So I asked, what do you think should happen? He says, no, friendship. And that made me think, we need to have good friendships, real good friendship, where a friend can tell another, hey, listen, you can't just tell me you're not going off like that. Okay, fine, I'll give you 1 day and I'll call you again. Okay, type of thing. You can push each other off so that you're actually friends, and you lower down your guards so that you don't start second guessing. He should know, she should know what's happening. So that in relationships is extremely useful. So commitment. So they don't want to commit because they don't know what to expect. They are second guessing left, right, and center.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I firmly believe that this idea of friendship, and that's one of the tools that you have been there, being friends is extremely useful. Then talk about values, talk about moral principles. I don't think we are done with values and moral principles. You're still in that space. I talked about developing a sense of purpose. And then the other thing, of course, is to tell people, just be a listener, support and be non-judgmental. Just be a non-judgmental listener. And those are some of the things you can do to summarize some of our kids. So encouraging exploration, encouraging reflection, promoting freedom for excellence, encouraging commitment, talking about values and moral principles, developing sense of purpose, and also just encouraging ourselves to be listeners. But I think over and above that, I go back to what I said. I still think we need to sort out this thing of gray divorces and stuff. For me, it's one of the root cause. It's more or less a root issue, and it's affecting young adults in a way that we can't really underestimate. In fact, one of my, they call them colloquiteurs, one of the people I was talking to, they told me this. You think that you people have nothing to say to us. You can't advise us. No, you're wrong. We need that advice. We need to hear you giving some form of advice in one way or the other. It's better we say no or hear or judge or whatever, but we need some form of engagement that gives some form of engagement, some talk. Advise me, I'm trying to do this. And then, of course, there are the perennial things of, thank me letters, which have transcended generation after generation. The good words that the mother tells the daughter and the mother tells the son, which eventually comes to come to pass. Yeah.
So it's way down the line, and it's not actually the first time this is coming up in this summit. That for young adults, just speak what you need to speak. Even because I've been talking to young adults as well, and they say, what do you tell parents? I say, just tell us. We might not take it now, but just tell us and keep telling us.
Yeah.
Even when we push back, just keep telling us. And the thank me later always comes at some point because it's coming from a place of wisdom. So as we wind down, thanks so much for this wisdom. And the one final thing is, if parents did one small thing this week to support a young adult, what would you recommend?
Wow. I think to create that meaningful space to discuss the issues with the young adults.
Yeah.
Even if it means calling that young adult and saying, I know you like you like a drink of something. I'll give you a glass of wine. Let's share this glass of wine and let's talk. Or let's go out for a date. Whatever you like, coffee, something. Incidentally, Carol, it worked for me like magic. But as a young adult, when I started having funny, habits, because my elder brother used to, had gone earlier, I was older, so I used to take a couple of drinks way before my age. Okay, I was already an adult. But what my dad did is that in one of those events, I think it was a wedding party or something, he told me, I'll buy you a drink. That drink tasted so bitter that it kind of blew, it's like a bubble that burst, and the thrill ended there and then. So, but yeah, so listen more, give suggestion. It's funny, give suggestion, but after you've empathized.
A place of empathy.
So yeah, empathy, empathy. So it's like, yes, we want you to engage, even give suggestion, even advice, but more than anything else, show that you empathize. And yeah, try to be the best friend to the young adult. I think we need to be friends again to these people, to show our own vulnerabilities. And like I like to give my young adults this story about my father and that first drink he bought me, and how eventually it killed the thrill of the whole thing of drinking too much, just yeah. So that's the kind of thing that I do. So nowadays I also tell them, my friends, do not go out and get drunk. There are some red lines.
Yeah.
you know, before you're 25. I
Mm.
even talk about the whole issue of the brain development, frontal cortex, and I even give stories, you know, anecdotes like this guy you know, he went over the speed limit. He was caught in the US, and he comes and says, you know what, um, you've been caught driving excess speed. He says, yes. Is that wrong? Yes, you know that, yes. So what are you sorry for? He tells his father, the only thing I'm sorry is that I was caught
I got
because I was capable. So the problem was the law. And the father tells him, no, no, no. You know, you will have to pay. Is that okay? Yes. But the issue is, what would have happened, even if you're driving on a big wide state road, what would have happened is something, you know, an external factor just showed up, like a deer or something.
Mhm.
But anyway, so the point was that
Mhm.
we trust you, but you do not necessarily trust your judgment fully, and there's a good reason scientific for that. So be patient with us, and we'll accompany you as you grow.
Yeah.
So that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Again, for me, it goes back to this, the solutions we have are within us. They are
Yes.
amongst us. In
Yeah.
the context of community, there is so much you can learn from one another. And let us simplify these resources. Let's simplify these tools because they are as simple as that. I think it's
Yeah.
in the context of consistency that we will begin to see the results. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Tom, for
Mm.
guiding us, for bringing a lot of clarity and hope
Mm.
to a very, very complex season in a family's life. And you've reminded us that guidance really is not about control, it's about
Mm.
relationship. Thank you so
Yes.
much. And for those who would like to get in touch with Mr. Kimani and all the work that they do at the Program for Family Development and all the other programs, we will provide all that information. Check the summit resources and you'll be able to see all that. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you once again, Tom.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carol.